If you don't have $10,000 in your bank account right now, at this very second, available with a single click, then do me a favor. Turn off this video immediately. You don't interest me. You are a statistical error in a world of big numbers, noise that the market filters out without any mercy. Actually, no, wait. Take your finger off the button. Don't you dare leave, because it is you and only you who needs this video more than the air you breathe. You are in the terminal stage and you don't even suspect. You are dying. You look at me with resentment. Your ego, bloated and inflamed like an open wound, screams that I'm an arrogant old man who doesn't know real life. But the truth that will take your breath away right now is that I am the only doctor in this ward who won't lie to you and tell you that your gangrene is just a scratch. You're a financial diabetic who keeps eating sugar by the spoonful, wondering why his legs are rotting, and you call it fate, circumstances, or injustice. But in the medical manual of reality, it is called something else entirely. You've grown accustomed to thinking that poverty is a temporary absence of money, an empty wallet, a hole in your pocket that can be sewn up if you just find a better job or win the lottery. But that is the most dangerous hallucination your sick brain generates to protect you from realizing your own collapse. Poverty is not the state of your wallet. It is a chronic progressive mental illness that strikes the central nervous system, distorts the perception of reality, and atrophies the will, turning a healthy human being into biomass capable only of consumption and self-pity. You think you're healthy? Try a simple test. Remember the moment you had to pay an unexpected bill, when the car broke down or a tooth started aching, and feel that sticky cold terror that gripped your stomach. That isn't just stress, it's a symptom of pathology. It's your organism screaming that it has no resources for survival, but you drown out that scream with cheap entertainment and credit cards, which act like morphine for the dying. And here comes the twist, the Santa Barbara effect that should knock the ground out from under your feet. You think your poverty is the result of external forces, that the state, your employer, or the economy robbed you. What a delightful, convenient lie. You aren't a robbery victim. You are an accomplice to a crime against yourself. You are the very architect who designed a prison without doors and now complains about the drafts. You romanticize your misery. You wear it like a medal of honor. You say, I'm poor, but honest. I didn't sell out. Money ruins people. Do you hear this nonsense? That's the virus speaking for you. It's a psychological defense mechanism trying to justify your failure by turning it into a virtue. But in the world of facts, poverty is not a virtue. It is an inability to adapt, an evolutionary dead end. You pride yourself on being above money, but in reality, you are on your knees before it every day when you choose food based on yellow clearance tags, when you deny your children a quality education, when you endure humiliation from a boss because you're afraid of losing your source of sustenance. You think money is evil? No, money is a magnifying glass, and poverty is a murky lens through which you look at the world and see only the distorted, ugly shadows of your fears. When you have no money, your brain switches to emergency mode. It shuts down long-term planning, it shuts down empathy, it shuts down creativity, leaving only one function: survive today. You become a cornered animal, and in that state you can be neither kind nor noble nor honest, because a hungry animal knows no morality. You think you're a good person who just got unlucky? I'll tell you something that will make you want to smash the screen. Your goodness is a myth, because you have no resources to be either good or bad. You have only instincts, and those instincts are leading you to the bottom. You look at rich people and search for flaws in them. You look for proof that they are unhappy just to justify your pathetic existence. But the truth is, they are breathing oxygen while you are breathing carbon monoxide, and that gas is slowly killing your neurons. The absence of money physically changes the structure of your brain. It lowers your IQ. It makes you aggressive, suspicious, and envious. You are sick, and your illness is contagious. You pass this virus to your children, teaching them learned helplessness. You infect your friends with it, turning your circle into a leper colony of losers. But the scariest part isn't that you're sick. It's that you refuse to take the medicine because it tastes bitter. You prefer the sugar-coated pill of self-deception that promises everything will work out, but nothing will work out until you admit the diagnosis. Are you ready to look in the mirror and see not the hero of an unrecognized novel, but a patient in need of emergency resuscitation? Or would you rather die proud but broke, never realizing that the key to your ward was always in your pocket, but you were too busy pitying yourself to feel for it? Let's crack open your skull and look at the trash that literature teachers, priests, and loser parents dumped in there, because it's that very trash blocking your neurons and preventing you from seeing the world as it actually is. You repeat like a mantra, money isn't the most important thing. Money is the root of all evil. You can't buy happiness. You say these phrases with such pride as if they are signs of your high spirituality, but in reality, they are symptoms of your terminal stage of reality denial. You think money is about yachts, champagne, and gold toilets. What delightful suicidal stupidity. Money isn't luxury. Money is oxygen. And right now you are trying to breathe through a straw with a clip on your nose, calling it asceticism. When you have oxygen in abundance, you don't think about it. You don't notice it. You just live, create, love, and build plans for decades ahead. But when the oxygen is cut off, when the valve is tightened to the limit, what do you think about? God? Morality? Saving the whales? No. You think of only one thing, how to take the next convulsive breath so you don't drop dead right here on the dirty floor. And here is the twist, the Santa Barbara effect that should make you turn cold with terror. You think your poverty is an external circumstance, a temporary inconvenience, but in reality, it is a chemical attack on your brain that you inflict upon yourself daily. Science, not morality, has proven a fact that makes you want to hide under the covers. The state of chronic need, the constant background stress of unpaid bills and fear of tomorrow physically lowers your IQ by 13 to 14 points. Do you understand what that means? That is the difference between average intelligence and borderline mental retardation. Poverty makes you stupid in the most literal medical sense of the word. You don't make bad decisions because you're poor. You are poor because your brain, being in survival mode, is physically incapable of making good decisions. You're a computer where 99% of the RAM is occupied by the process where to get food, and for the process how to build a future. You have 1% left, just enough to buy a lottery ticket or another bottle of cheap booze to drown the anxiety. You think you are a kind person, that you are a supportive friend and a loving spouse. That is an illusion that will crumble to dust as soon as the pressure in the system rises another couple of atmospheres. A person who can't breathe cannot be an altruist. If you are drowning and your child swims up to you, in a state of panic and shock, you will drown them trying to scramble to the surface, because the survival instinct is stronger than your love, stronger than your ethics, stronger than ending human when poverty castrates your soul. You become a petty, envious, suspicious little creature gnawing on crumbs, thinking it's a feast. You cannot afford the luxury of being generous. You cannot afford the luxury of being calm. You cannot afford the luxury of being yourself. You are a hostage to cortisol, the stress hormone that scorches your vessels and turns you into an old man at 30. You look at the rich and say, well, they are greedy, they are cynical. You are confusing cause and effect. They can afford to be anything they want because they have oxygen tanks. And you are a moral bankrupt because you have no resources to back up your principles with action. You say you love your family, but when your mother gets sick and needs a $50,000 surgery, what will you do? And will you cry at her bedside, holding her hand and cursing the unfair world? Your love won't buy medicine. Your tears won't pay the surgeon. In that moment, you will realize that your spirituality without money is just impotence wrapped in pretty words. You are not a protector. You are a helpless spectator of your own tragedy. Do you still want to argue? You want to tell me about Diogenes in his barrel? Diogenes was a philosopher by choice. You are paupers by compulsion, and that is a chasm you cannot jump over with your excuses. You think money ruins people? No, money is a developer. It shows who you really are once the fear of hunger is removed, and poverty is the dirt that caked your eyes, ears, and mouth shut. You aren't living. You are functioning in emergency mode, and every day in that mode kills the creator in you, leaving only the consumer. Are you waiting for the situation to change on its own, for a wizard to fly in? The wizard isn't coming. The debt collectors are. And when they knock on the door, your IQ will drop even lower, and you will commit yet another other stupidity that will tighten the noose even further. Are you ready to admit that your brain is working against you? That your modesty is just a symptom of oxygen deprivation? Or will you continue to suffocate, proud of how beautifully blue you're turning? Now turn around and look at those for whom you claim to live, at the ones whose photos sit on your desk in cheap frames, your family, your children, your aging parents. Prepare to hear truth that will make you feel not like a protector, but like a parasite sucking the future out of your own bloodline. You love to repeat with the pathos of a martyr, I do everything for them. Love is what matters. We're but you're poor, but we have each other. But that is a lie you use to cover your inadequacy like a fig leaf. You think your love is currency. Try paying for your mother's chemotherapy with it. Try putting it down as a deposit for your son's education at Harvard. You will see the cashier of reality look at you with pity and point to the door. In the world of biology and economics, love without resources is not a gift. It is a burden. You think you're the pillar of the family? Wake up. You are ballast. You are a sandbag tied to your children's feet, pulling them to the bottom of the social pyramid while they try to stay afloat. And here is the Santa Barbara effect, the moment of terrifying recognition when you realize that the villain in your family story isn't the state or the crisis. It's you with your passivity and your fear of money. Have you ever wondered what happens to the psyche of a child growing up in home where every decision is dictated not by desire but by necessity? You teach them not to dream. You teach them to survive. You pass down to them not capital, not stocks, not land, but the virus of fear and a scarcity mentality. You program their neural pathways for poverty. You castrate their ambitions by your example, showing them that submission to misery is the norm. You think you are raising them? No, you are infecting them. You are patient zero in an epidemic of losers that will mow down your lineage generation after generation until someone strong enough and cynical enough says enough and breaks the chain. But you don't want to be that strong link because it's too hard. You prefer to be the weak link that needs to be pitied. Imagine a scenario you usually brush off like a nuisance, but which is as inevitable as the sunrise. Your parents are aging. At some point, they will need help, not a glass of water, but round-the-clock care, the best doctor's comfort. And what will you do? You, with your empty account and your pauper's pride, will you dump that care onto the state, condemning them to a wretched existence within institutional walls? Or will you turn into a caregiver yourself, killing your time and depriving your own children of attention? You will become the sandwich, crushed between the needs of the elderly and the demands of the children, unable to help either. This isn't a tragedy. It's the mathematical consequence of your inaction. You stole a dignified old age from your parents because you didn't prepare. You stole a head start from your children because you spent your resources on survival, not development. You are a thief stealing time from those closest to you, justifying it by saying life is hard. You think poverty is modesty. No, poverty is the highest form of selfishness. When you have no money, you are fixated on yourself, on your pain, on your stomach. You can't save the world. You can't help a neighbor. You can't be a patron. You are a black hole that only consumes the energy of those around you. A rich person can afford not to think about money and to think about others. A poor person thinks about money 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and those thoughts poison everything around them. You say, I don't want to be rich. I don't need much. That is the lie of a coward afraid to enter the arena. It's not that you don't need it. You're just afraid of the responsibility that comes with money. You chose the position of a child for whom everything is decided by grown men from the bank and the government. But you have your own children and they are watching you. And they don't see a hero. They see a terrified person who gave up without a fight. Are you ready to take this hit? Are you ready to admit that your financial impotence is not a private matter, but a crime against your own blood? While you play the noble pauper, your lineage is degenerating. You are an evolutionary dead end if you don't start acting right now. Money isn't just paper. It is concentrated freedom and security for those you love. By rejecting money, you reject their protection. You abandon them to fate in a world full of predators. Do you still feel like a good family man? Or are you starting to realize that your kindness without a checkbook isn't worth a damn? The next step is diagnosis. We must look at the numbers, and those numbers will scream louder than any words. Are you ready to see your sentence on a smartphone screen? Stop hiding behind pretty words about the soul and morality. It is time for the dirtiest, scariest, and most necessary procedure of your life. We are moving to the autopsy of your financial corpse to see if there are still signs of life or if we are just galvanizing a dead body. Get your phone out right now. I am not asking you, I am commanding you. If you have a single drop of self-respect left, unlock the screen, find your bank app icon, and press it. Do you feel it? Do you feel your palms getting damp, your heart starting to beat in your throat, your stomach tightening into a knot of nausea? This physical terror at a set of pixels on a screen is not just nerves. It is a clinical symptom of your pathology. It is proof that you have lost control over your reality and surrendered it to numbers you fear like fire. Are you afraid of seeing a zero there? Or even worse, are you afraid to see a negative balance that confirms you aren't just standing still, but digging your own grave with the enthusiasm of a maniac? Don't you dare look away. Look at that balance. Let it burn your retinas, because it is the only truth about you that exists in the material world. All your dreams, all your plans, all your excuses, they are dust. But this number is a reinforced concrete fact, someone in your face. You aren't making it. And here is the twist. The Santa Barbara effect that should shatter your pattern. You think avoiding checking your account is a way to maintain peace of mind? What a monstrous suicidal lie. That isn't peace. It's anesthesia before an amputation. You are acting like a patient with gangrene who refuses to look at his blackened leg, hoping that if he doesn't look at it, it will miraculously heal itself. But gangrene isn't cured by ignoring it. It's cured by a scalpel. You thought you were protecting yourself from stress. No, you were protecting your illness from treatment. You are the lead accomplice in your own misery. You are the very guard keeping the doctor out of the ward while the patient dies of sepsis. You look at these pathetic figures and feel shame. Excellent. Let that shame burn you like acid. Shame is the immune reaction of the healthy part of your personality to the wretchedness you've turned your life into. If you aren't ashamed, you're already dead. And I'm wasting my time. But if it hurts, it means the nerve endings are still working. You thought the problem was that you weren't paid enough. Look at your transactions. Look where your life energy is leaking. Coffee, subscriptions, taxis, useless. You will see the chronicle of your madness there. You will see how you, with your own hands, dismembered your potential and fed it to corporations. You aren't a victim of circumstances. You're a victim of your own stupidity and lack of discipline. You thought poverty was a sentence. No, it's a diagnosis. And that diagnosis reads, total atrophy of the ability for delayed gratification. You cannot wait. You want to eat the seed stock today without thinking that come spring you'll have nothing to plant. And now, as you stand naked before the facts with nothing to cover yourself except your fear, you must realize one thing that will flip your consciousness. You thought knowing your balance would kill you, and on the contrary, not knowing was killing you every day. An ostrich burying its head in the sand doesn't escape danger. It just leaves the most vulnerable part of its body open for a kick from reality. And reality has already lifted its leg to strike. Admitting the problem is half the solution. The moment you stop lying to yourself that everything is fine, you stop being the patient and become the doctor. Yes, it's a severe case. Yes, it's neglected. Yes, it will require painful therapy. But now you see the enemy's face. That enemy isn't the bank, the government, or inflation. That enemy is the person who spent money. They don't have to impress people they don't know. Are you ready to declare war on that person in the mirror? Are you ready to kill that infantile spendthrift inside you who led you to the edge of the abyss? Because if you close the app now and say, I'll think about it tomorrow, you will sign your own death warrant. Tomorrow won't come. There is only today, and today your balance tells you that you are in trouble. But it is from this point, from this deep, dark hole, that the path upward begins. Only by pushing off the bottom can you surface. Do you feel the bottom? Is it solid? Excellent. That means you have a footing. Now we have a foundation to build a new personality, a personality that isn't afraid of numbers, but manages them. Are you ready to hear the prescription for the medicine, which will be as bitter as wormwood, but will restore your sanity and strength? Or would you prefer to return to the coma of sweet ignorance? Now put the phone in your pocket, wipe the cold sweat from your forehead, and listen to me as carefully as if I were a judge reading you your sentence. Because in a way, that's exactly what I am, but you still have the right to an appeal, though the price of that appeal will be high. You've just peered into the abyss of your bank account, and the abyss looked back at you with the icy indifference of digits. Now you know the truth. You are sick. But the good news, which should give you a faint glimmer of hope, is that poverty isn't cancer. It's not a genetic defect or a curse from the gods. It is an acquired metabolic disorder of your behavior, a kind of financial type 2 diabetes that you earned through years of consuming sweet lies and easy credit. And like any diabetes, it is treatable, not with prayers, not with visualization of success, and certainly not by buying lottery tickets, but with a harsh, brutal, boring diet and injections of common sense straight into the brain. Are you waiting for me to give you a secret pill to say, I buy this cryptocurrency and it will all go away? If you're waiting for that, you are hopeless and you should leave right now so you don't interfere with the adults' conversation. The medicine I offer is as bitter as quinine, and it is called radical responsibility. You must understand one thing that will flip your world. No one is coming to save you. Not the state, not a kind uncle, not a sudden inheritance. You are alone in the open ocean, and your boat is leaking because you yourself punched a hole in the bottom with your vanity. You think that's cruel? No, it's liberation. The moment you realize that you are the life buoy, you stop wasting energy screaming for help and start rowing. You stop being a victim of circumstances and become a predator hunting for your own freedom. But here is the twist that will make you feel a withdrawal comparable to heroin. To get well, you will have to give up the most powerful drug you've been on for years, self-pity. Self-pity is the most expensive, most destructive, and sweetest poison in the world. You love your poverty because it gives you the right to whine. It gives you the right to be a little person wronged by evil forces. It gives you a moral high ground over the greedy rich. Are you ready to kill that victim inside you? Are you ready to admit that your financial pit is the result, not of evil fate, but of your personal individual stupidity and laziness? That hurts. It's a blow to the ego that can knock you off your feet. But it is that very blow that shatters the shell you were hiding in and releases the one capable of taking action. You think wealth is luck. Look at me. I've seen thousands of people win millions and die in poverty, and I've seen thousands who started with zero and built empires. The difference isn't luck. The difference is the treatment protocol. A healthy person understands the language of arithmetic. He knows you can't spend more than you earn. That compound interest works for those who know how to wait, and that every cent is a seed from which a forest can grow. A sick person only understands the language of emotions. I feel sad. I deserve it. And you must switch your brain from feeling mode to calculating mode. You must become a robot that cold-bloodedly cuts expenses, invests the difference, and ignores the screams of its inner child demanding a new toy. And here's the final chord that will determine your fate right now. You stand at a fork in the road. To the left is the familiar road to hell, paved with excuses, credit cards, and evenings in front of the TV, where you will envy someone else's life while your own rot's alive. That is the path of the sick man who refused treatment. To the right is a steep, rocky climb where it will be hard, where it will be scary, where you will have to kill your illusions, but where every step makes you stronger, smarter, and richer. That is the path of the recovering. There is no third way. You cannot remain a little bit poor or almost healthy. You either die or you live. I cannot make this choice for you. I can only provide the diagnosis. But you have a chance to prove you aren't hopeless. I want to see who among you is ready to accept the truth, no matter how ugly it is. Write just one word in the comments that will become your medical history or your discharge paper. Write sick if you admit your brain is poisoned by a pauper's mentality, but you are ready to start treatment right now, immediately, without excuses. Or write healthy if you already have capital, discipline, and freedom, and you are watching this video just to make sure you did everything right. But if you write healthy while having zero in your account, know this: you aren't just sick, you are dead, because lying to yourself is the final nail in the coffin. I will be reading, and I will see every one of you. Time's up. Your move.